these are the people who I want to appeal to. Make those little slips. It happens. You have to have a plan to manage your problems effectively. How are you going to do it? Fall off the horse? Jump right back on.
And welcome back. And we're moving into our session for this time with Jenny Lovell, mental health professional. And she is here for another edition of Bruk It Down with Jenny.
Yep.
As we talk about a very important topic, one that is extremely relevant, stranger danger.
Yes.
Good morning, Jenny.
Good morning, Marlene.
Welcome.
Morning, John.
You know,
and morning, Belize.
It has been a while since we've had you on.
Since
And
we
it's
see
so
you.
Yes, and it's so nice to have you back. Sophisticated with glasses, everything look good. Stranger danger.
Yes,
The
yes.
news is out there, and you know, for me, a father of young children, it's something that I really take or pay keen attention to. Let's jump on it.
Okay, so it's actually stranger anxiety, but the things that they do is to teach children about the dangers of getting too close to strangers. And it's not only strangers that will harm them, but we know that strangers are the ones that will probably kidnap or leave with them.
Yeah. So let's put this into context. We've had a recent allegation of attempted abduction. It's not the first time. There's been this white van story for quite some time, even to the point where I think there had been a notice saying, not all of them are true. Sometimes it was just kind of a panic mode that had set in.
The anxiety.
Yeah. So what we're talking about is what? Is it a natural thing that happens to children, an anxiety that children naturally have?
Right.
Or is it something that manifests because of stories that they hear?
Well, from the age from birth, I would say from birth until about they're 2 years old, children naturally get very nervous about strangers or people who are different caregivers.
Yeah.
Or maybe even people who come to visit and reach over to touch the baby.
Yeah.
And that's very natural for the child to start screaming because it's not the regular caregiver, right? So the baby very likely will start screaming, shy away, run away. And one of the things that we tend to do here, and I see it here at home a lot, people go kiss Uncle so-and-so, go kiss Auntie so-and-so, and force the child to go do that. We don't want to do that. If the child has that natural boundaries set for himself or herself, let the child be. Okay, you just apologize to that member and say, okay, well, she's not feeling very friendly today or something, but don't force the child to go and kiss that auntie or uncle or friend.
So you say it starts at about 18 months, this natural reaction by children?
No, it starts actually right after birth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's from 0 to 24 months.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and again, that's just sort of an average. Sometimes it starts right after birth and it goes longer than that. Sometimes for some kids it goes up to 4 years.
And then to me, right there, when the child says no or the child don't want to go and give that hug, then that's where bullies start. Because what we do to the child is that, oh, you freed out, or that's bullying the child. But I want us to define who a stranger is. You say, go to your uncle or give him a hug, but define a stranger. Who's a stranger?
A stranger is somebody really and truly, for this, is somebody that the child doesn't know and you don't know. These are random people. And we teach our children to be polite. Somebody stops them on the street. Little girl, can you tell me where St. Ignatius Church is? Or can you tell me where Holy Redeemer is? I'm new in the country, especially if they have an accent. Our children, we tend to trust that person because they have an accent or a foreigner, so they can't possibly mean any harm to us. And so we really have to rethink the things that we allow our children to do, or allowing them to become comfortable with people because they're foreigners or because they have an accent. We have to really, those would be strangers. These are people who aren't even from our country.
But not to move past what I think is an extremely important point. This is something I know I have spoken of, and people are really wary about it. This idea of not forcing your children to interact with any person. Any person. I mean, it might be my brother that my child does not want to hug. And my brother, most likely, will be offended by that. But if my child says no, I should respect that.
Yes.
Why?
The child will, at some point, after the child sees this person around for a while, and the child has boundaries. I like to think that little children are still very much spirit beings, right? They're still very close to God, and their intuition is very high.
Yes.
I want to respect their intuition. It's important as parents, we respect their intuition. If they warm up, fine. We don't know why that child does not want to warm up to that particular person. We need to respect that.
Yeah.
We really need to respect
It's
that.
not about how I feel as the parent, how
Right.
I'm embarrassed that,
Yes.
and in Belize, raise your picnic good because, mannerly I hug people and kiss people.
Yeah.
But it's about the fact that this child is learning that when I say no about my body,
Right.
it is respected.
Respect
And my
that.
body includes hugging and kissing.
Right. Right. We have to respect that because we don't really know why that child feels like that.
Yeah.
It's their intuition. They have it too. We're all born with it. And we need to really respect when a child sets its own little limits.
Of course.
And that goes so against our culture because then people saying, you got the picnic to boss you.
That's our culture. But see, the thing is, we really need to respect a child's boundaries, just like our boundaries. And that's the problem a lot of us have. We don't have boundaries because we never learned. And so this is our opportunity now to make sure that we allow our children to set their own little boundaries. And if a child is refusing to go to an uncle, or refusing to go to a friend, and it's somebody that comes in the home regularly, you really want to respect that because you don't know what that child is what's going on.
Feeling, yeah.
But sit and talk to the child at some point when you're alone and find out what is it about uncle you don't like or whatever. They might tell you he smells.
Yeah. Or that he
something.
shouts too much.
Shouts too much.
Yeah, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but don't force the child. Please do not force that child to go hug or get close to somebody that the child is clearly resisting. Okay.
All right, so let's move on to the stranger anxiety. So that
So
was
I
one.
put here that
yeah.
these are the different stages of
I
development.
have no idea what these is.
Piaget he's cognitive. He worked with the brain, and he says it starts in the very first stage, which is the sensomotor stage, which is like from 0 to 18 months, right? Freud and Erikson. Freud was the psychodynamic. He believed in Electra complex. You read all that in psychology. The oral stage, and he says the oral stage, the child is sucking his thumb and
Or black
very very oriented to the mouth, to the oral, right? So I'm just putting it in context as to where it starts. Erikson, this shouldn't be Erikson. It should be Kohlberg. I must have been very sleepy last night.
Kohlberg,
which means?
Kohlberg is the one who talks about conscience, right? And conscience doesn't start this early. This is pre-moral. They haven't learned yet about right and wrong and all of that. So it starts at the very, very early stage of life. So people think that it starts later on in life. No, it doesn't. Babies are spirit beings who know.
Yeah.
They protect themselves. All right? I really don't have anything in front of me.
Next slide.
Yeah.
So, all right.
So I put a selection of things up here.
Okay.
Different things that we really want to look at. And we don't want hysteria. We don't want to scare children. I really would not want that to happen.
It's key to know what to tell your kids right now because you want them to be safe,
Right.
but you don't want them to be scared of their own shadow.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's the whole idea, is to not create panic, but to put things in perspective for parents and for children.
Okay.
Okay. So we want to talk about things, strangers in cars. Somebody pulls up to your child. Talk with your children and say somebody pulls up to you that you don't know and asks you for an address. Stay far away from the car. You don't want to get close enough to the door for them to yank you into the car.
Yeah.
If you know where the place is, stay far enough and answer. But then he says, well, little girl, can you come show me, please? Because I really don't know Belize. I just got here. Never, not ever. Teach your children never get in a car with somebody they don't know. Not ever. All right. Yell and tell. If they reach and they try to grab you and pull you in the car, yell. Fire.
Always fire.
Fire. This, I don't know you. I don't know you. I don't know you. Help. Yell and tell. If an adult comes along, tell the adult, I don't know him and he's pulling me into the car. You need to have a safe zone though. As you're walking to school, where are places that you can run? Who are families you can run? What stores can you run into and let adults know that somebody's trying to pull you into a vehicle? This is very critical for parents to tell children.
The safe zone too. So even if you just feel uncomfortable, go in a
Going
store.
Get into somewhere safe. Don't go into some place where there's nobody. You want to go into a place where there are lots of people. All right. Don't accept gifts from strangers, because I'll tell you to come. Oh, I have this little puppy that I gave, and I can't take him home because I don't have him. So I'll give you the puppy, but you want to come help me have some other ones. Do not tell your children, don't get fooled by those or by any kind of gifts. They're strangers. I buy you gifts. My family will buy you gifts, but nobody else will give you gifts. Do not accept gifts from them. All right? Okay. When at home, you have to make sure that you know who gives your children gifts. You don't want people coming to your home and trying to get friendly with your children and you're right in your home. Yes. Molestation can begin in your home with friends or even with relatives. So be very careful. Let your children know, show me everything that anybody gives you, including family. Show it to me so that I can look at it. Because sometimes I'll give them really expensive things that they want, right? Because mommy and daddy can't afford it. They're grooming. It's called grooming your child. Okay. Care for your friends. All right. One of the things, if you see things happening with your little friends, that somebody's doing these things that I'm talking about with your little friends, tell an adult, tell your mom, tell your daddy, but tell somebody what's happening, because maybe that child hasn't gotten the kind of information you're getting. Yeah. All right? Very important. When you're playing outside, children need to be alert, play, but be aware. I know lots of our kids go and they go play go play basketball and football on the fields. And there are people monitoring them at all times.
Strangers in those areas.
Yes, so they need to also be alert to see who's around them, how close they're getting to them, how often they're around. Always teach your children to be very alert and pay attention to who's around at all times. When using the computer, be careful, don't you get messages from people asking you information, or they're asking you to come and meet them. Anything in a computer, you really need to have that relationship with your child that they will tell you that somebody is contacting them on the computer. Yeah. All right. Again, also on the telephone, we have WhatsApp, Viber, all these other things. Everything. People, and I'm amazed. People have little kids with telephones, because the child needs to get home and they need to check on the child, but the child also has access to all kinds of things, and other people have access to your child also. So a phone is a very adult kind of thing. So you need to sit with that child and really explain to the child the dangers of the phone and the kinds of things that you don't want them engaging in while using that telephone. Yeah. Okay. Oops.
Okay.
That's okay. Jump in.
Yeah.
So, all right.
All right. I put the motorcycle because they're saying that one of the things is that people are trying to grab children on motorcycles. Now look at that. That's very, very dangerous and scary, because you can't see a face, because they're required to wear a helmet. So you have no idea who's behind that helmet, right? It's very easy for someone to come by on a motorcycle and scoop a young child up, put them right in front, because lots of family members come with their children sitting in front of them. Yeah. Right. So if they swoop up that child, they could ride off and nobody would know anything better. Yeah. So that child needs to be screaming, making a whole lot of noise. This is not my family. This is not my daddy. Make a lot of noise and let others know something is wrong. Right? If you get scooped up, make a lot of noise. Now, one of the important things is you need to be with friends. I look and I see children walking to school sometimes, little tiny things by themselves. Get your children to walk. If you're from a neighborhood, all walk together. Friends, it's harder to grab 3 or 4 kids. They will go after one. But if you're in a group, it's very hard, and the other kids then have information. Yes. And you want to teach your children to be able to identify what the child got in, was pulled in, the color, if they know the make of the car, to be able to describe the car, if they can get license plates. Teach your children that information. Can you go back for me, please? I think we jumped.
What is a
right
safe
here. What is a
place? Yeah.
safe place? And we talked earlier about safe places. Computer shops, coffee shops, stores, shops. Run into some place where there are
Where there are a lot
other
of people.
Sometimes in the Chinese store, they're behind they're behind some sort of zinc or whatever they call
grill,
it.
yeah.
The grill, yeah. Just call the police, yell to the person in there, but go into a safe place and get in there. They're going to hesitate about following you in there if you're screaming and alerting people in the safe zone. And I put this up here, don't talk to strangers.
Yeah.
We used to, as children, they used to tell us, don't talk to strangers, right? But a lot of times too, the danger is right here at home with people who have made themselves friendly with you, have been calling out to you and trying to get to know you. Another thing I didn't put up here, people like to put their children's name on everything. Don't do that. The person, the stranger, sees your child's name and they'll start calling the child's name.
By the name.
Right. The child will think that the person knows the family and knows her. Right? Oh, I'm friends with your mom. Marlene, I'm friends with your mommy, and start trying to talk to the child. But you have identified the child for them.
Yeah.
So be very careful. If you have that on their books, have them keep that inside their backpack.
There are some kids that they do hire people to pick them up, and if the child is old enough, I've read about doing a code word system as well. Like when somebody says this word, that means mommy sent them or daddy sent them. Does that work? Is that something you think will help?
It helps if only the child and that person knows it, right?
Okay.
As long as the child doesn't tell anybody else, oh, my code word is this, and you need to really talk to the child about
Yes.
keeping those things
Yeah.
private,
Yeah.
because you don't know who their friends will talk to and give that information out.
But one of the things I know, especially with like what you mentioned, whereby there's one person picking up a number of kids and then taking them off to school, what parents are not doing is actually going out to meet that particular individual so they can introduce or do a formal introduction, get into that vehicle with that individual, take that first ride around, get to know the child and the driver, and then continue on. So,
And where they're stopping,
yes.
you know?
So these are some of the things that and it's all over the place, especially at schools.
We're very lax. We're very trusting here, you know? And I think that we're getting some rude awakening.
Yeah.
And now everybody's in a state of panic. But the thing is, it's not to get panicked, it's get prepared.
And I was going to ask that question because I do see that where people are really hyper vigilant almost.
Yes.
And what are your thoughts on how to manage being more aware and alert, but not becoming so scared and so cautious about everybody and telling the kid, don't talk to anybody, don't look at anybody, just get home. And, I could only imagine that type of energy being transferred onto a child. Like
You're terrorizing
I
them.
would,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you manage it? How do you help them to become more aware and alert, but not scare them?
Right. So the thing is that if I'm scared as a parent, I'm going to make the child scared. So I need to get information. This is a lot of information. Go to Google, go to some of the websites and go read information about things, how to talk to your child.
Yeah.
I've given some information here, but there's so much more out
Yeah.
there, right? Respect, you really need to be talking to your children. We've talked about this, the
Yeah.
importance of talking to your children every day, because you will hear things. Because remember now, a lot of times these people don't just come up and start talking to your child. They've been watching your child. They start grooming the child, trying to become friends. If I talk to you every day and I say hi to you every day, one day you're going to say hi to me. And if I encourage you to stop. So you need to be talking to your children in very sensible, calm ways to get that child to understand what grooming is and how people do it, and to learn how to say no. We have to. This is an awakening for us. We cannot just teach our children you have to be polite to everybody and all this. No, children need to have. They know what their boundaries are. They do. And you need to teach them to trust their gut. Okay, teach them how to trust their gut. If they see something that doesn't seem right, feel right, tell them to pay attention to that and get away from there.
Yeah.
All right?
Wow.
Yeah.
And giving them practical advice as to
Absolutely.
what to do.
Yes, don't. The thing is not to scare the child. So first of all, parents really need to get a grip of themselves.
Of course, that's first and foremost.
Right. Breathe. Get facts. Instead of listening to social media of all these things that are happening out there, get the real facts. If it's not on the radio, and if it's the police haven't come with something,
Yeah. Or call the
then-
police yourself. If you're
yeah.
waiting for a 6:30 newscast or whatever newscast, you know, you have the time to call if you receive one of these messages saying, oh, they're doing X, Y, Z, this place, da, da, da. Call them and ask.
yeah, yep.
Yeah. And know for yourself before you get really, really
panic.
frantic.
Yes, yes. Because then sometimes we tend to communicate that fear
Yeah.
and that anxiety to the child. Now we have the child who is really anxious and nervous and afraid to come out. We don't want to do that. As the parents, you have a responsibility to get yourself informed
Yes.
so that you can pass on information and techniques and tactics for the child to deal with. Okay?
Very, very, very wonderful way of putting it there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And, you know, we did say stranger danger, and I think John asked the question, and it was really something important as well, which is we didn't classify who a stranger is.
Okay, so someone not known to you or to the child.
Yeah.
Those are strangers. People who come up just because they're smiling and they're well dressed, they're not your friends. They're still strangers.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay?
Or even if they're young, like a teenager.
Yeah.
And I'd like to point out that even your relatives that you don't know are strangers. So
Strangers,
don't,
yes.
because your mom said, that they your pop uncle, that they your pop brother, you're supposed to. I think the relationship must start in the home
Right.
first before they could eventually make that move. Because for me, like I mentioned, being a young father of young children, telling your child to go and hug somebody, this thing brought to me all that, you know, telling your child to go out and hug somebody who they don't know, that's wrong.
Not only that, you're teaching
Or
the
who they
child
don't
that
want
it's
to hug.
they
It's
don't-
not
who
who
they
they
don't
want,
want
who
to
they know.
hug, yes.
It's who they
Yeah.
don't want to hug. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we force them or we beat them.
Yeah.
You know, and
We bully them.
No, we put the screaming child on the lap
On
of
the
the
lap.
person
Yeah.
they're running away and say, kiss them.
yeah.
And then we bully them, and I can't, you know, I have to stress that because I've seen it before. Oh, you know, I get down, but you just this stuff. That's bullying to the child.
Or you beat them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So very, very important. In this day and age, we have to be very, very careful.
Yeah, we
Honor the
must.
child's honor.
Yeah.
I mean, honor the child's boundaries.
Yeah.
Little
Yeah.
kids have boundaries. You
Because
have to-
we need them as adults too.
yeah,
And we learn them as children.
yeah,
Yeah. And you know, so the talk of stranger is someone the child doesn't know, but we also have to be very conscious of people who are close to the children as well.
right.
While it may not be abductions, cases of abuse can take place with very close relatives as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why we don't want to force you, because sometimes you don't know if that child is being molested
Yeah.
by that very person that you are forcing them to go kiss, or that person to go put them in that person's lap, and you really don't know. If the child is having an adverse reaction, you really want to respect that, and at some point sit down and talk to the child and find out what's going on.
Yeah.
Because we really don't know. And it's called stranger danger, right? But it really encompasses,
It's whoever your child
Whoever it is.
considers to be a
Yeah.
stranger.
yeah.
All right.
I should just put something up there that we skipped over. It was called, the child yells, no! And yell, I don't know this person. This is not my mommy. This is not my daddy.
No yell, run and tell.
Run and tell somebody, run. Never get in the car, and if they come and say, oh, this is my daughter, this is not my daddy, this is not my mommy. Make a lot of noise and go tell somebody. Run towards adults.
You know, quick question here, because and it went to mine because sometimes because of the way I pay respect to you, and because of what I show to you, and you are molesting that child will be heavily reluctant to even want to say it to me because of what I or how I respect you. How do you deal with cases like this or situations like this? What do you say to that child or to that parent? Because it's out there.
But the thing is, you're respectful because you have respect for this person. The child hasn't told you anything yet, so you don't know, right? So you want to talk to your children and say, listen, always come and tell me what's going on. I'm not going to hold it against you. I'm not going to whip you, right? But I'm the first person you need to be talking to. But if you don't want to talk to me, talk to mommy, talk to auntie, right? Tell an adult what's happening. But if I'm the one forcing you to come and hug uncle, then, you know, I really need to know why you don't want to be near uncle, why you don't want uncle near you, right? A lot of times we don't make it accessible for a child to tell us about our brothers, about our sisters, because women do it too.
Yes.
Right? We have to, and I keep saying this, if you're beating up on a child, the child is going to be reluctant to talk to you and tell you that something is happening with your brother. Right? So I have to really make myself accessible, that I let you know nothing you come and tell me when it comes to somebody touching you. I'm not going to whip you. I'm not going to hold that against you. I need to know so I can protect you. I am your first protector.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
All right.
Beautiful. All right.
All right. Very, very important topic, Jenny.
Really,
Thank you so
really.
much. It was a timely conversation. We know a lot of parents are concerned,
Yes.
and this should be a level of vigilance we should have year round, whether there's talk of abductions or not. Yeah.
Help your friends by looking out for each other. Y'all need to be looking out. You see your friend getting or talking too much to somebody that you all don't know. Tell somebody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Always take care and be
Be
aware.
aware. All right. All right. Thank you very much, Jenny. That's it for us. We'll Bruk it down with Jenny. We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, it will be to talk about Japan Day. So stay tuned.